of the World Bank and main initiative in the water sector. Our mission. The World Bank Group has two ambitious goals: end extreme poverty and promote self-prosperity. This is our mission, our goal. And we are a unique global partnership of 5 institutions working together to deliver on those goals. The International Bank for Reconstruction and Development provides financial development and policy financing, mainly to middle-income countries and some creditworthiness low-income countries. The International Development Association provides interest-free loan or credit and also grant to the poorest countries. Both together, IBRD and IDA, is what is called and referred as the World Bank. And other institutions include the International Finance Corporation, which focus specifically on the private sector, in mobilizing private financing. The Multilateral Investment Guarantee Association, MIGA, provides political risk insurance, which is very relevant for actually to enabling the environment for the private sector to come in. And we also have the International Center for Settlement and Investment Dispute that provides international facilities for reconciliation and in the case of unresolved conflict settlement. Let's focus on water, right? And we are in an inflection point in history, actually, these days. We're just recovering from the COVID pandemic crisis. And we're increasingly feeling the impact of climate change. Now we have COP27 around the corner, but we're witnessing increasing floods and drought and the impact in our countries. And we're also witnessing unprecedented increases in conflict and violence, which might be rooted in the crisis. No, we can see, for instance, the impact of the war in Ukraine, no? And you cannot imagine even that impact can go so far, but it is impacting very heavily East Africa, for instance. They rely heavily in the crops from Russia and Ukraine, no? So these are the World Economic Forum published the top 10 risks over the next 10 years. And we can see here that water is actually at the root of many of those risks. 9 out of 10 events related to climate are related to water, floods, drought, etc. No? And we can continue counting a lot. So basically, our common future depends on water. The narrative in the water sector has been evolving over the years, over the last 25 years. We just completed the MDG, the Millennium Development Goal era. The Sustainable Development Goals came to raise the bar to a commitment of securing safe water and sanitation for all by 2030. And on top of that, the water crisis continued to get worse and worse with the impact of climate. And we know there is key system that we need to intervene, we need to target, really, if we want to reduce the greenhouses emission, which are energy, agriculture for land, cities, transport, manufacturing. As I say, water is central to climate change, both adaptation and mitigation. And it's cutting across many of these sectors. For instance, in energy, the water can be used for either power, right? And it's only 10% of the potential used so far. So it is very important to start thinking how we're going to maximize the use of water. And basically, we like to say that the world is basically on fire, right? And we need to put water on it. So it is time to really, really raise the bar on water. Coming back to the Sustainable Development Goal is a huge challenge. securing water for all, safe water for all, and safe sanitation for all is a huge challenge. Yet if you look at the investment level required, it is huge. So from 2000 to 2016, the average investment level globally has been around 16 billion per year, right? And the requirement to achieve SDG 6.1 and 6.2 is around 140 billion per year, meaning at least 6 to 8 times more that we're investing. And you can imagine this is impossible to do it with public financing. So we need the private sector, right? So we need you, and we need your firm, and we need your private financing. But something very important is, and it was referred by my colleague Sabine before and others, is to really attract the private sector. What are the barriers, right? Why they're not coming? There is a lot of opportunities. There is plenty of financing there, even for contract. They are not coming. So there is a need to intervene at the policy, institution, and regulation level. We need to change the way we are operating, and we need to help countries to address the weak financial institutional capacity, overlapping roles, and unclear accountabilities. We find it in every sector, in every country. There is poor coordination and limited oversight, transparency, accountability. In the end, we are still kind of operating by projects, no, in a cookie-cutter approaches. And I think it's time to start being bold and start thinking. In the Africa region, for instance, we're coming back to the debate on access. No, we have evolved a lot in the narrative, but access is still very low. So how are we going to deliver on universal access by 2030? And it's important to start thinking on what are the building blocks we need to put in place and we need to support to achieve that. This is our vision. Our vision is a water-secure world for all. It is to be delivered through three major pillars. Sustaining water resources is very critical. Service delivery, delivering services, and then more and more relevant is building resilience. And a unique comparative advantage and ability I think we have at the bank is our ability to integrate knowledge into implementation. So our footprint is global. We're in every region, in many countries, and doing a lot of things. And we need to start thinking how this knowledge is mentoring and integrated into implementation in other projects. This is our active portfolio in the water GP, just water, across the globe. We're talking about some 24 million, 142 projects. We also do a lot of studies, analytical studies, and research. And this is our global footprint. We are around 300 staff. 50% of the staff in country office. We have country offices, staff based in country offices in 69 countries. And at the end, you will realize why it's important to understand the portfolio and where we are. Before I'm gonna go quickly through some example of innovative and transformational project I think we're doing in several sectors. Water in public health. This is a very interesting example. As you know, the COVID pandemic led to an explosion in interest in using wastewater and wastewater-based monitoring and testing, right? And that's because the virus really replicates in the human body and can be detected in the wastewater even before it is manufactured. No? So an example of use of that was the case of Guayaquil, in which the municipality and the private concessionaire partnered with the university and started using this wastewater-based epidemiology and actually anticipate and be able to intervene in the different areas where it was manifesting. This has been very useful, and this kind of monitoring is spread in across 64 countries, really. Another area in which another initiative is related to water for economic growth and focus in cities, and actually there has been a shift in paradigm in how water services are perceived in the cities, and the need for integrated water management approach. We have been witnessing how demand, and actually the demand will continue growing, no? At least 50% in the next until 2030. Rapid population, limited access, and also increasing risk from climate change, and going to call for an increased demand. So some innovative approaches include, for instance, the use of circular economy and resilience. This is just an example in San Luis de Potosí, Mexico, and you can see how the use of circular economy approaches can be beneficial. So the challenge were an over-extraction from the aquifer, and so apart from restoring the aquifer, there has been thinking on innovative ways to reduce the consumption and maximize benefits. Just because we are in a session in water and coming out of energy, I will put the example. For instance, the power plant, just using treated wastewater for the power plant for cooling, no? They are reducing the cost 30%. They have saved 18 million over the past 6 years. So it's a moment to start rethinking how to address these challenges. Another case, the case of India, how to build resilience and through water storage. And there is a need to intervene at several levels, surface water through, for instance, in this case, the dam rehabilitation improvement project, we call DRIP 1, DRIP 2. So they are rehabilitating and dams across India, and also actually improvement the asset management. At the same time, through the groundwater management project, they are also trying to improve and to address India's depleting groundwater level, and also provide water mostly in rural areas. But also, it is important they are intervening in water-related data, and they have a very interesting forecast-informed reservoir operation. So even the operation of the different reservoirs are based on the data and weather climate. A project that I am particularly proud of, I'm the TTL, sorry, the testing leader of this project, is the Luanda Vita Water Supply Guarantee. This is the first guarantee ever in the water sector. And this IVRD guarantee is unlocking $1 billion for the government of Angola to implement the project. The financing is coming from the private sector, private lender. What the World Bank is doing is actually guarantee, actually it's a partial guarantee. There is another partner, BPI, France, which guarantee another 500 million, so two partial guarantees. And through that, the government is able to access private capital and implement the project. This is a national priority project. I'm about to finish. This is a national priority project. It's going to provide services to 2 million people with capacity to increase to 4 million people in Luanda, in the capital of Angola. No? And just to finish, I was thinking, I mean, as we are in the forum of, it's a trade forum, no? And sometimes we the bank come with all these ideas and so on, and the company might be thinking, yes, that is very fancy, but actually, what can I do, no? How can I get a contract? So I was thinking, what's more important, and my colleagues have been referred that, we're the World Bank, we're a super big, complex organization. 10,000 staff plus consultants, over 20,000 people across the globe, right? So who to talk to, right? So the first thing you need to actually think of where and what. If you are a company, and particularly small companies, right, or medium companies, because the bigger companies, they're already out there, they're already tendering, right? They're Italian companies tendering. But what can a small and medium enterprise do, or company do to? First, you need to understand what you want to do, right? And where you want to do it. What can you offer and where? Examine the pipeline. Listen, every contract that is published in the UN database, business development, it will also referred by the FDB. So you can understand in a country X that I'm interested, for instance, what is the pipeline? And for instance, when you identify, well, I would like to do, let's say, wastewater treatment plant, and I'm interested to do that in Ethiopia, to say something, or any other countries, then you can identify who is the right person that I can talk to, because there will be a task team leader that is coordinating and is leading the operation in Ethiopia, no, in this case. Many times said, what we consider critical when we see a company coming to a tender, and actually the evaluation and the tendering is done by the client, by the government. It's not done by the World Bank, right? We just oversight and make sure that everything has been done properly. But what I see when they are evaluating and assessing the companies, two critical criteria are previous technical experience and country experience, right? This is very critical. And to understand, no, the context, local custom, many complaints coming from taxes and misunderstanding of taxes, market, and so on. So my advice would be to identify local partners and go for joint venture. If you want to enter it, just find your right partner to enter into a country. Of course, as I say, the contracts are tendered by the government, so reach out to implementing agencies and try to find out what is the pipeline. And finally, use your Italian trade agency and the mission for assistance, no? If you want to do so, this is something you could do. And thank you again. I think this is one of the events you're organizing is precisely in this direction and to do that. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.